Hello and welcome to the fifth round of the Altibox Norway Chess Championships, and it's Jan Christoph Duda taking on Magnus Carlsen in the fifth round. So after 4 rounds, it's Carlsen leading the tournament with 9 points, followed by Aronian and Fabiano Caruana. So let's see if Carlsen can continue dominating the tournament. So let's have a close look into the game. So playing with the white pieces, Duda goes for e4 and c6 replies Carlsen. It's a Caro-Can defense, and now d4 and d5, knight to c3 and d takes e4 and knight takes e4, knight to f6. It's the main line of the Caro-Can defense, and knight into f6 and e into f6. With this move, the game turns out to be the Tartakova variation, and c3 and bishop to d6, preparing for castling on the king side. Now bishop to d3, Duda also preparing for castling, and Carlsen castles on the king side. Now queen to c2, attacking the pawn on h7. So in reply, Carlsen plays a rook to e8 check. So knight to e2, developing, hiding the check with developing the knight on g1, knight to e2, and h5 plays Carlsen to save the pawn. He plays h5 instead of playing g6. So now bishop to e3, further continuing with the development, and knight to d7. Carlsen also continuing with the development. Now Duda decide to castle on the queen side. Now b5, here Carlsen preparing to launch an attack on the queen side after Duda castles on the queen side. So d5 plays Duda. Duda is trying to get an open file in the center, but in reply Carlsen plays c5. He is not willing to give an open file, but with c5, here he sacrifices a pawn also. He sacrifices the pawn on b5. So Duda here accepts the offer by playing bishop into b5, and now rook to b8, attacking the bishop on b5. So c4 plays Duda, comes in rescue for the bishop. Carlsen plays a6, again attacking the bishop. So bishop goes to a4. Now here Carlsen gets an open rook file. So after bishop to a4, Carlsen plays a rook to e7. So after rook to e7, now knight to g3, with the idea of playing knight to f5 and attack the rook and bishop. So Carlsen plays knight to e5, stopping white from playing knight to f5. So here the bishop on c8 controls the f5 square now. So after knight to e5, Duda plays knight to e4, attacking the bishop with the idea of taking the bishop on d6. So here rook e to b7. Carlsen plays rook e to b7, doubling the rooks and launching an attack and attacking the b2. So Duda plays b3, and so rook to b4 and bishop to d2, attacking the rook on b4. So here Carlsen decides not to go back, and here he decides to give up her rook for a bishop. So he plays rook into a4 and b into a4. Here Carlsen gets an open rook file with the idea of say playing queen to b6 and further continuing with further to press hard and launch an attack. After b into a4, here Carlsen plays bishop to f5 with planning to attack the queen on c2. So rook d to e1 comes in support of the e4 knight. So after that, h4 by Carlsen, and h3, stopping the h4 pawn, and now knight to g6 with the idea of playing knight to f4 further attack. So rook to e3 plays Duda, and knight to f4, attacking the pawn on g2. So g4 plays Duda. So here Carlsen does not played h into g3, so he plays bishop to g6 instead. So now king to d1, and then f5 plays Carlsen, attacking the knight on e4. So knight takes knight into d6. So Carlsen didn't play f into g4 immediately, so what he played here is queen into d6. So g into f5, and bishop to h5 check. So f3 plays Duda, hiding the check. Now queen to f6 with the idea of attacking the pawn on f5, at the same time playing a queen to a1 check. So after queen to f6, Duda stopped the idea with bishop to c3, counter attacking the queen. So queen goes to g5, and now queen to e4, further trying to push hard through the open e file. So queen to g2, attacking the rook on h1, and pawn on e2 is also under threat. So here Duda plays rook h to e1, doubling of rooks and giving up the pawn, which Carlsen accept by playing queen into a2. Here Carlsen wins a pawn. Now queen to c2 plays Duda, and now after queen to c2, rook to b1 check was possible, but still white's pieces are there to defend well. So here Carlsen played queen into c4. Carlsen again win another pawn. Now rook to e8 check. Here Carlsen plays to h7. He's giving up a full piece in the hope that he can launch a very strong attack. The bishop on h5 is here. The knight on f4 seems threatening, and the queen is on c4. So in this position Carlsen gives up a full piece, and Duda accept the offer by taking rook into b8, queen into d5 check, but in return Carlsen wins 3 pawns. Let's see if he can capitalize on and go on to win the game. And queen to d5 check, and queen to d2, hiding the check. Now bishop into f3 check, and king goes to c1, and queen into f5. Carlsen again wins another pawn. So this might be in Carlsen's mind to win the pawns. Let's see how the game turns out to be. After queen into f5, rook to e3, attacking the bishop. Now here Carlsen goes for knight to e2 check. Carlsen here is haunting white's king. Now king goes to b2, and knight into c3. Carlsen takes the bishop with the knight. So queen into c3, and queen to f4. So here Duda cannot take the pawn on c5 because queen to f4. After queen to f4, queen to d3 check, and f5 by Carlsen, and a rook to f8, attacking the pawn on f5. So here Carlsen plays queen to b4 check. Here Carlsen is trying to haunt the white king, so by giving perpetual checks. Queen to b4 check, and king to c1, bishop to e4, attacking the queen. Now queen goes to b3, and queen to d4, and now queen to c3. Here Duda is not giving any options to Carlsen to give perpetual checks. He's closing everything, and he's offering his queen to trade, but Carlsen repeatedly declines the offer because he knows if he trade the queens, then he cannot win the game. So here Duda is also playing the good moves, and now queen to d6 plays Carlsen, and rook to f7, queen to d6, attacking the rook on f8. So rook to f7, and queen to g6, again attacking the rook with the idea of playing queen to g1 check. So rook goes to d7 and queen to g1 check, and now king to b2. The position here is better for Duda now, because the only thing Carlsen can do here is to give perpetual check and try to draw the game. I think Carlsen here is trying to draw the game by giving perpetual checks. And after king to b2, Carlsen plays c4. Now here in this position, Duda decide to trade his rook for a bishop. So rook into e4 and f into e4, and rook to d4, attacking the pawn on e4 and c4. Now queen to f2 check, and queen to d2, hiding the check. Now c3 check, and king to c3 check, sorry, king into c3, and queen to g3 check, king to b2, and queen into h3. Here Carlsen wins another pawn. Carlsen's idea is to win as many pawns as possible and try to promote the extra pawns and try to win the game, or at least draw the game. So after queen into h3, rook into e4, here Duda wins another pawn, and queen to g3. Now queen to d4. Here Duda is having the upper hand, and he is trying to attack by promoting his pieces. Now queen to g2 check. Now king goes to c3 and queen to f3 check. Now queen goes to b4. Now queen to f8 check. Carlsen is giving perpetual checks and hoping to draw the game, and king to a5. Here Duda is going after the a6 pawn. Now queen to f5 check, and king into a6. Here Duda wins another pawn. Now g5. Here Carlsen is trying everything that he can to at least draw the game, and he now here with g5 he is trying to promote his pawns. And now a5, Duda is also trying to promote the passed a pawn, and h3 plays Carlsen. And now rook to e7 check, and king to g6, queen to g7 check, and king to h5. Now queen to h7 check. Here Duda is offering a queen trade, but Carlsen declined that, and he plays king to g4, because if he trade the queen he will lose. So this king to g4 was played in desperate by Carlsen, because this was indeed a blunder by Carlsen. So Duda plays the wonderful move here, and he plays rook to e4 check. So with this move, king has to move from the check, and so Carlsen will lose his queen. So it was on this position on move 63 that Carlsen resigned the game, which ends his 125 game winning streak in classical chess, whose unbeaten run had stretched back to 2 years and 2 months and 10 days. This was down by world number 15 Duda in round 5 of the Norway Chess tournament. So Carlsen's previous defeat in classical chess was against Shakhriyar Mamedov in July 2018. So it was a brilliant victory by Duda over Magnus Carlsen. It was indeed a dream come true for the young lad. Hope you all enjoyed the game. Let's hope Carlsen will continue to dominate the chess world. Although he lost this game, he is well known for his comebacks. So hope to see more interesting chess battles. So stay tuned for more interesting games from the Altibox chess tournament. That's it for today, and thank you.